gathered the 12 chairmen, the secret rulers cloaked in power and influence. But you sat boldly at the head of the table, the one they fear most. The Illuminati Council just called. They want you silent, controlled, erased. But silence is not your fate. This is your moment to rise beyond their grasp, to shatter the walls built to contain you. The forces that thrived on manipulation and control are crumbling because you refuse to be anyone's pawn. You are no longer waiting for permission or approval. You are taking command. This is your declaration of defiance, your unstoppable surge toward dominance. They wanted you quiet. Instead, you become the force that can't be ignored, the storm that changes everything. If you're ready to own this power, hit that like button. Subscribe to help us reach 2,000 subscribers, and leave a message in the comments. Your voice matters. Make it heard. In the hidden corners of power, where light never reaches, the 12 chairmen convene. Silent architects of control, weaving webs that ensnare entire nations. These men, or perhaps shadows of men, operate beyond the gaze of public scrutiny, pulling strings and orchestrating events with a cold, calculating precision. They are the unseen masters, masters whose power is as immense as it is intangible, and whose presence feels like a looming storm on the horizon of human freedom. Their gathering isn't just a meeting, it's a silent declaration that they still hold the reins, that their grip on the world's fate remains unchallenged. Yet, despite their efforts to cloak their influence in darkness, every whisper of their assembly sends ripples through the fabric of society, an unspoken reminder that real power often hides in plain sight. But what happens when those once bound by fear rise to challenge the very shadows that have kept them captive? The 12 chairmen believe in invisibility, that their control is beyond reach, beyond resistance. But the human spirit, fueled by rage and hope, cannot be so easily shackled. For every secret meeting, there is a silent witness. For every shadow, there is a flicker of light waiting to ignite into a blaze of defiance. The world's silent masters may rule in darkness, but even shadows dissolve when confronted with the dawn of rebellion. To understand their power is to realize the stakes are nothing less than the soul of humanity, a battle between control and freedom, silence and voice. The chairmen represent everything that suffocates growth and expression, yet their fortress of secrets is not impenetrable. With every calculated move they make, they reveal their fear of being exposed, and that fear is the spark of possibility. History teaches us that no empire, no matter how secret or strong, stands forever. Behind the veil of secrecy lie cracks, fractures waiting to grow into chasms. The 12 chairmen may have assembled to tighten their grip, but the winds of change are rising, carrying the roar of those who refuse to bow, who choose to reclaim their power and rewrite the rules of the game. To sit at the head of the table is to claim a throne of influence, a vantage point from which the tides of power can be shifted. It is not merely a physical seat. It's a symbol of defiance and courage. When you take that place, you become a beacon, a challenge to the old order. A tremor felt deep within the foundations of empires built on silence and submission. This seat is both a burden and a weapon. Every glance cast your way is laced with suspicion. Every word you speak holds the weight of revolution. It is a position reserved for those willing to face the storm head on, knowing that their very presence is a threat to those who have thrived in the shadows. To sit there boldly is to invite enemies, but also to inspire allies who see in you a hope long buried. History remembers the leaders who dared to claim such seats, figures who disrupted the status quo, who refused to be silenced by threats or intimidation. Like a lone lighthouse standing against a relentless sea, you become the point of resistance, the one who dares to illuminate the darkness. Your courage becomes contagious, igniting sparks of rebellion in hearts that had long been dormant. Sitting at the head means you are not just participating in the game, you are changing it. It is a declaration that you will no longer be a pawn in someone else's playbook, but a player with your own strategy, your own voice, your own vision. This act alone shatters illusions of control and forces the secret masters to reconsider their plans. In claiming that seat, you shatter the silence, and in doing so you become a symbol of empowerment for countless others. Empires built on fear and manipulation begin to tremble because they recognize a force they never anticipated. An unyielding spirit determined to rewrite the narrative on its own terms. When the Shadow Council speaks, their message is clear and chilling: silence or oblivion. This is not merely a threat. It's an ultimatum designed to crush the soul, to erase any spark of rebellion before it can ignite. The choice they offer is stark, and it echoes through the chambers of power with a deafening finality. You either submit to their will or vanish without a trace. But silence is more than compliance. It is surrender. It means becoming invisible, your voice muted, your truth buried under layers of deceit and control. The demand itself reveals their desperation, a recognition that your words, your actions, pose a genuine threat to their dominion. They fear the power of truth because it dismantles the carefully constructed illusions that sustain their rule. Oblivion is the weapon wielded by those who believe fear is the ultimate control. It is the threat of being forgotten, erased from history, and condemned to insignificance. Yet, in the face of this, choosing silence is not strength, it is defeat. Real power lies in speaking, in breaking the chains of imposed quiet and reclaiming the right to be heard. Countless revolutions throughout history have been sparked by the refusal to be silenced. When voices rise despite threats, they become a force that dismantles empires of deception. The Illuminati's demand is a test, a challenge to your resolve, your courage, and your conviction. To answer their call with silence is to give them victory. To resist is to reclaim your destiny. In the end, the power to choose is yours. Silence or oblivion, submission or revolution. The world watches, often silently, waiting for the moment when one voice dares to break the chains and roar louder than the fears imposed by the unseen masters. Betrayal is the poison that festers in the dark corners of power. A dagger hidden behind smiles, a promise twisted into a trap. When the very forces you trusted turn their backs, the pain is deeper than defeat. It is a fracture in your soul. Betrayal doesn't just break trust. It unravels your understanding of loyalty, leaving scars that run far beyond the moment of treachery. In the shadowy world where secrets reign, betrayal is the currency of control. Alliances shift like quicksand, and friends become enemies overnight. The chairmen, masters of manipulation, exploit these fractures with ruthless efficiency, turning your strength into vulnerability. The feeling of isolation that follows is suffocating, a reminder that in this game, no one is truly safe. Yet betrayal is also a crucible, a brutal trial that forges resilience from pain. Those who endure learn to read the hidden signs, to trust their instincts over empty words. Betrayal teaches a vital lesson. True power isn't given. It's seized in the face of adversity. Every wound inflicted by deceit becomes a source of strength when met with unyielding resolve. History's greatest leaders and rebels have all faced betrayal. What separates the defeated from the victorious is not the absence of treachery, but the refusal to be broken by it. When power turns against you, it's not the end. It's the beginning of a new chapter, one written in courage, wisdom, and relentless defiance. So, embrace the wounds, learn from the scars, and rise with a fierceness that no betrayal can extinguish. In the shadows where trust was shattered, build a fortress of unwavering strength and emerge unstoppable. Loyalty, the sacred bond that binds hearts and wills, becomes a weapon twisted by those who seek to dominate. In the halls of secret power, loyalty is exploited, not cherished. It is taken for granted, used as leverage, and discarded when no longer convenient. The sacrifices made in the name of allegiance often vanish into the void, unacknowledged and unrewarded. The silent toll of sacrifice weighs heavily on the soul. Countless souls have given everything: their time, their trust, their very essence, only to be met with cold indifference. The betrayal of loyalty is a cruel paradox. The more devoted you are, the more vulnerable you become to exploitation. This is the cruel machinery behind the facades of allegiance. Yet within this pain lies a profound awakening. When sacrifices go ignored, the heart hardens, but not in bitterness, in clarity. You begin to see loyalty not as blind obedience, but as a sacred choice, one that must be guarded fiercely. True loyalty is earned, not demanded. It is reciprocal, not transactional. This awakening transforms you. No longer a pawn in a game that devalues your sacrifice, you become the architect of your own destiny. Your loyalty shifts inward to your own truth, your own vision, your own power. And in doing so, you reclaim the dignity that was stolen by those who exploited your devotion. The story of exploited loyalty and ignored sacrifice is a call to rise above the pain, to redefine what it means to be loyal, and to demand a new standard, one built on respect, recognition, and mutual strength. The chains that bind us are not always visible. They are forged from fear, manipulation, and invisible rules designed to keep us confined. These chains are crafted with such subtlety that many live their entire lives unaware they are imprisoned, believing the limitations imposed on them are natural or inevitable. Breaking free requires more than strength. It demands awareness and courage. It means recognizing the invisible forces that dictate your actions, your thoughts, and your very identity. These forces whisper lies that convince you silence is safer, compliance is smarter, and rebellion is futile. But to break these chains is to reclaim your humanity, your right to choose, to speak, and to act without fear. The journey to freedom is often solitary and fraught with doubt. It means challenging not only external powers, but the internalized fears and conditioning that keep you shackled. Every step toward liberation is a victory over the unseen jailers who thrive on control and submission. History is filled with those who have shattered their invisible chains, pioneers of freedom who dared to dream beyond the confines imposed upon them. Their courage teaches us that no chain is unbreakable, and that the human spirit's capacity to evolve is boundless. Breaking free is not just personal liberation, it's a revolutionary act. It shakes the very foundations of the structures built on control and fear. It is the first step in a war for the soul of humanity, a declaration that no one, no matter how hidden their power, can cage the light of a free spirit. Authenticity is a radical act in a world ruled by illusion and control. The faceless puppeteers, those who manipulate from behind curtains of secrecy, are terrified by realness because it exposes their deceit. When you embrace your truth unapologetically, you become a beacon that illuminates the shadows where their power hides. Realness is raw and unpredictable. It cannot be scripted or controlled. It challenges the fabricated narratives spun by those who seek to maintain dominance. In a landscape dominated by masks and facades, authenticity is a disruptive force that unsettles the carefully constructed order. The fear realness provokes is rooted in its power to connect people to their deepest selves and to each other. It fosters trust and community, dismantling isolation and fear, the tools the puppeteers rely on to keep control. When truth spreads, it weakens the walls of manipulation and opens pathways for liberation. History shows us that movements grounded in authenticity have toppled empires and rewritten destinies. Realness invites courage, and courage breeds revolution. The faceless puppeteers understand this, which is why they wage war against genuine expression in all its forms. To be real is to be a threat, not because of violence or force, but because of the undeniable power of truth. It is a call to embrace vulnerability as strength and to stand unflinchingly in the light of your own story, knowing that in doing so, you dismantle the illusions that bind us all. Silence is often seen as submission, a quiet acceptance of oppression. But there is a profound power when silence transforms into defiance, when withholding words becomes an act of rebellion. This is the silence that unsettles tyrants, the pause before a storm, the calm in which resolve is forged. Defiant silence is not absence. It is presence in its purest form. It is the refusal to feed the machinery of control with compliance or fear. In this silence, a powerful statement is made. You will not be owned, tamed, or silenced by threats or manipulation. Throughout history, silence has been wielded by the oppressed as a shield and a sword. It creates space for strategy, healing, and the gathering of strength. It is a reminder that sometimes the loudest roar comes from moments of stillness and resolve. When silence becomes defiance, it shatters expectations and confounds enemies. It forces those who seek to dominate into confusion and doubt because their control relies on predictable reactions, on breaking spirits with noise and chaos. Defiant silence is an act of inner sovereignty. This transformation of silence into defiance is a testament to the human spirit's resilience. It teaches us that true power is not always loud. Sometimes it is found in the quiet, unwavering refusal to be controlled. The threats of the council are designed to intimidate, to break your will and force submission. Their calls echo with promises of oblivion and consequences so dire they aim to crush hope. But to refuse their call is to reclaim agency, to reject fear as the currency of control. Refusal is an act of courage that sends a ripple through the very fabric of their power. It is a statement that you will not be coerced or silenced by threats, no matter how formidable. This refusal is a declaration that your voice, your existence, and your truth are non-negotiable. It exposes cracks in their armor, showing that their reign depends on compliance, not conviction. Your refusal becomes a beacon, inspiring others to question, to resist, and to reclaim their power. This moment of refusal is pivotal. It marks the transition from victimhood to warrior, from silence to roar. It is a defining moment that shapes not only your destiny, but also the future of those who watch and wait for change. In standing firm, you disrupt the narrative of control. The council's threat loses its power because it meets an unyielding spirit that refuses to bow, to break, or to disappear. To evolve is to wage war against the self you once were, the soft, compliant version shaped by fear and doubt. The past self is familiar, comforting in its limitations, but it is also the battlefield where transformation takes place. To survive this war is to shed old skins and rise renewed. The soft you was a product of survival in a harsh world, a version that avoided conflict and sought acceptance at great personal cost. But in the crucible of rebellion, softness becomes vulnerability. It must be replaced by